What is up? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about my Golf R and the process that has arisen to get it to where it is now. So at the moment it's running over 500 bhp and 620 newton meters of torque, thereabouts. Thing is an absolute rocket. I wanted to make this video because I feel like a lot of people in the tuning industry don't talk about the problems that arise when modifying a car. People think it's very plain sailing, you know, they see these Instagram pics of a finished car that's like 700 brake, 1000 brake, GTRs, things like that. Never talk about the problems. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight into what has happened with my car and the amount of stress and financial stress that it has put on me to get to where it is now. I've had a ton of fueling problems. That's been the biggest thing that has consumed my time. I'm talking months and months of time and months of problems. I've had dodgy high pressure fuel pump units. I've had to upgrade my high pressure fuel pump unit in the first place in order to cope with the amount of power that's trying to run. Essentially two main things that produce power is air and fuel. There's other things as well. Those are two main things. So I had to upgrade my high pressure fuel pump unit. I went for an Autotech HPFP. First unit that I got given was faulty. Had to go back down to the suppliers, exchanged it. The second unit was faulty. Third time lucky, I had a working high pressure fuel pump. We found out that my low pressure fuel pump was faulty, so we also had to replace that. I remember driving down to the place whilst my car was misfiring, and my car broke down midway through the journey. They're like an hour and a half away. Had to call a tow truck, had to spend about £150 on a tow truck just to get to where I needed to be to replace my low pressure fuel pump. That's not it. I had to replace all my injectors. Now, originally I only thought this car had 4 injectors. It would make sense for a 4-cylinder engine. Turns out there are actually 8. So you've got a top rail set of injectors, which I replaced myself, and then there are 4 in the intake manifold, which was an absolute nightmare to get to. I left that to some professionals who figured out where exactly they were located. Those were replaced. So essentially everything fueling related in this car has had to be replaced and fitted with brand new parts and upgraded parts. Now, fueling side eventually got sorted. After that, my clutch went. My clutch started slipping, which wasn't really the most surprising thing in the world considering the amount of torque that it's trying to produce. Again, 620 newton meters of torque. Had to replace the clutch and have a sufficient gearbox map that essentially tightened the clutch plates and pressures. If you want to know everything that's been done to this car to actually get it to this power, I've had a hybrid turbo fitted by Littco, an L500. I've got all the cooling to support, so a Wagner Front Mount Intercooler, an R600 Racing Line Air Intake, a Scorpion decat downpipe, and a straight through exhaust system. I mean, that's not cooling, but it just helps with flow, etc. And yeah, I've also had added pops and bangs by VRS. And of course, the Autotech HPFP, and I've had to replace all my injectors, as I said, the low pressure fuel pump, etc. And honestly, it's been so many months of headache and so much financial stress. You wouldn't believe the costs of all the problems to get them fixed. I've probably spent near 10k in all honesty rectifying a bunch of issues and getting this thing to where it needs to be. So by no means at all is it just plain sailing. It's not a matter of you buy a car, next day I can get it stage 3, next day I can just double the horsepower. There are always so many issues, and the best thing to do when you have these issues arise, which is hard sometimes because you want your baby, you want it to be working okay, but you just got to think I've got to ride the journey, and in the end it will work out. And where we are today, as of making this video, my car isn't causing me any issues, so fingers crossed, touch wood, you know, it's going to remain safe. It's quite a high mileage car as well, so I do consider myself quite lucky. None of the internals are forged, so if I wanted to get any more power out of this thing, really I'd have to forge the internals. A lot of people would say I'm treading on thin ice as it is already, but obviously to forge internals, etc., you're looking at so much more extra money to do that, and for me, is it worth it? Not really at this point. But for me, I love speed. For those of you who don't know, I recently passed my bars assessment, which is a rally assessment, so I'm now qualified to take part in rally events. I'll get my license for the whole of 2021. I'll be able to compete, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping I can work my way up. For those of you again who don't know, I absolutely love rallying. Rallying is one of my favorite sports ever. I love the intensity of it. I love how there's not a second room for error. You have to be on top of your A game all the time, and it is just such an adrenaline rush. So I'm really really excited for that year. I'm really excited to compete in rally and see where that gets me. You know, aside from that, I love just my spontaneous drives. If you've watched some of my travel videos, you know how much I love going to these beautiful, picturesque places like the Lake District, like the Peak District, Scotland, Wales. I absolutely love catching a vibe, and it's even better when you've got a really fun motor to accompany you on your journey and just, you know, blast you through the roads and have your exhaust echo through all the forests and trees and mountains and hills. It's just an absolute spectacular vibe. I've got now a stage 3+ technically Golf R that I want to make the most of. Hopefully, you know, I'll be able to take more trips to places like Scotland in this next time around. Last time I went to Scotland, it was my 86, and you know what happened then. If you don't know what happened, check my story time video out, where unfortunately I had an accident in my GT86 due to some horrific weather. But this is a 4Motion DSG, so hopefully it would handle rougher terrains a little bit better. But no, I do want to go on some mad trips, especially with the way this thing is set up right now. For me, cars is a massive escape. It's such a huge hobby. It's not even a hobby, it's a passion of mine, and I love anything automotive, and this is why I've invested so much time into this car and money into this car to get it where it needs to be, to get it where I wanted it to be. I had a vision for this car, especially performance-wise, and it's been accomplished. I might go down the cosmetic route, so I might get some cosmetic modifications. I might get a maxed-in front splitter, a rear diffuser, some side skirts, potentially. I've got a K-brace that I still need to fit that will help with its cornering and just help stiffen the chassis up a little bit. Apart from that, really everything I wanted out of this car has been done. I'm finally here, and I'm incredibly proud. It's been a tough journey, but it's been worth it in the end. Like, now that I'm sitting here and it's all working fine, it's been totally worth it. So guys, there's a short little insight into my Mark 7 Golf R. I hope to be keeping this thing for a while, and just stay tuned for more content with it. There's going to be a part 2 of the reactions to the loud exhaust now that pops and bangs have been added. I'm sure we can shake people up even more, so stay tuned for that. And also subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure all notifications are turned on so you've got all alerts, so you get notified for all my videos. And drop a comment in the comment section below. I'll always do my best to interact with you guys. Leave a like, share with your friends and family, and I'll see you for the next video. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace. Bye.